Happy Monday, and welcome back to this week's Wicked Wisdoms. Now, this episode is personal because today we're talking about masking. What it is, why people do it, and what it costs. I was recently at a training where I was the one being trained, and I was with a group of individuals that it was my first time meeting most of them. And we had to do an activity. Now, the first piece was just find somebody and introduce yourself to them. And so I did what I'm comfortable with. My name is Summer, profession, high-level family, stuff like that. And then they had us read this poem. And the poem is called The Invitation, and it's by Oriah Mountain Dreamer. And the very first line is, "It doesn't interest me what you do for a living. I want to know what you ache for, and if you dare to dream of meeting your heart's longing." Now, as I'm reading through this poem, my anxiety is starting to go up because I am a professional speaker and facilitator. I know what's going to happen next. So everybody reads the poem, and then we have to introduce ourselves again, but at a deeper level. And I found myself in complete panic mode, trying to figure out why. And then through a conversation about a week later with my therapist, we were going through, and I recognized that every time, minus 3 individuals, that I have shown my true full self, where I have dropped the mask, there have been consequences. Many of those consequences were in the professional world with people that I trusted and adored and admired and respected, and I thought it was safe, and I dropped the mask, and then all of a sudden I wasn't professional enough or I was too much. Now, this was learning lessons that I really did need, so I don't want to minimize the educational value of it, but I do want to share this risk that comes with the dropping of the mask. Relationships were destroyed, careers were hurt, all because of dropping. So when you hear somebody talk about the cost of dropping the mask, there are very real costs. And today we're going to be talking about what happens when someone refuses to mask, that strength, that heartbreak that comes with that choice. And we're going to be doing it through the film Wicked, because nobody models this better than Elphaba. So let's start with what masking actually is. Now, masking is the act of suppressing or reshaping parts of yourself to fit into a world that wasn't built for you. It can look like holding back on direct communication, pretending to be okay when you're overstimulated in high stimulation environments, smiling when you're not fine, staying silent when something doesn't make sense, rehearsing conversations in your head so you sound normal. Masking is survival. It's emotional labor, and for many people, especially those who are neurodivergent, disabled, racialized, or queers, it's daily life. But the thing is, in Wicked, Elphaba doesn't mask. She doesn't hide. She doesn't shrink. She doesn't reshape herself to make others comfortable, and the world punishes her for it. Let's walk through these moments. She speaks up in class, immediately, without softening. She calls a wizard in front of him when she realizes what he's doing. She leaves the celebration at the train station because it's too much. You see everybody to one side and her by herself to the other. She refuses to flatter, perform, or play along, no matter how many people beg her to. Now, Elphaba's power isn't just her magic. It's in her refusal to be someone that she's not. And that choice is radical because it costs her everything. She loses safety, belonging, her dreams. She even loses her name. She becomes the Wicked Witch of the West. Not because of anything that she did, but because she wouldn't play the game. And that's the cost of masking in a world that demands conformity. Which brings us to the most heartbreaking moment in the show. This one, y'all, it was a gut punch. In the song For Good, there's a line where Glenda sings, "I've heard it said that people come into our lives for a reason." And that brings us to the most heartbreaking moment in the show. At the end, where Glenda and Elphaba are saying their goodbyes, Elphaba asks Glenda, "See me?" And Glenda smiles and says, "Not as you see me, but as they see me." And then the song that we have heard repeated through the first 2 movies, Unlimited, becomes I'm Limited. Not because she believes it, but because the world has convinced her it's true. And that line, I lost it. For so many people, including myself, it's true. We come to this point where we recognize we're limited, not by our capacity, not by our brilliance, but by other people's discomfort, by systems that say you're too much or you're not enough, And the same system can say those both things about the same person. Never understood how it could be too much and not enough, all at the same time. Or you'd be easier to work with if. That moment in Wicked is the reason why I do this work, because I never want someone to feel that small simply because they don't look, talk, or think the way that society says that they should. But here's the flip side. Elphaba's refusal to mask is what makes her unforgettable. It's what gives her integrity. It's what inspires Glinda to grow, and it's what gives the people of Oz a different version of the truth to believe in. If they were willing to see it. In leadership, in life, in love, there's power to showing up as your full self, even when it's costly, even when it's lonely. And when someone tries to convince you it would be easier to just play along, here's your challenge. Are you asking people to mask for your comfort? Are you silencing difference under the guise of professionalism? Are you creating environments where people have to trade authenticity for belonging? Or are you building spaces where difference is not just tolerated, but it's trusted? Where I'm limited becomes I'm unapologetic. Because the truth is, masking keeps people safe, but unmasking, that's where the magic lies. Now, as we go through and we're talking about all of these ideas, how can you bring them into your workplace? How can you bring them into your experiences? All right, that's it for this week's Wicked Wisdom. Next week, we're going to close this arc with one final insight, and it's the one that I told you might get you a little frustrated. But for now, if you've ever felt like you had to hide who you are just to survive, I want you to hear me. You are not too much. You are not the problem. You are not wicked. You are you. And you've got this. I'll see you next week.